Welcome to Mental Health Dumpster Fire. My name is Courtney Laver, licensed clinical social worker.
And I'm Jess Miller, art therapist.
We are therapists with opinions on various topics, and we are here to share them with you. You can follow us online. I am Laver Listens on Instagram and Facebook.
And I am the Artsy Brain on Instagram and Facebook.
And we like to give a disclaimer that this podcast is for entertainment and education purposes only. It is not a replacement for therapy, and we cannot give you specific advice or clinical services via this podcast or our social media. And that's it. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Just got back from a quick trip to visit family, so that was nice.
Yeah.
Just kind of readjusting to the weather difference. I was up north.
Oh.
It's a lot colder there. No humidity right now. And then I came back, and it's supposed to be 90 degrees here tomorrow. So,
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that, but the trip was nice.
Good. Okay, cool.
And how are you?
I'm all right. Just same old.
Yeah.
Working, sleeping.
Yeah. No problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah, everything's boring here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Early part of summer is like takes a while for things to kick off. So
Yeah. All right, yeah. Well, what are we talking about today?
well, I started first last time. So do you want to start first this time?
Yeah. I have some interesting things
Yes.
that I found. This is a post from Reddit, and it's from the subreddit Am I the Asshole?
I love these.
And it's from a year ago.
Okay.
And the title is Am I the Asshole for Quitting Therapy?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Ties in with some of the like stuff we talked about last time of starting therapy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so this person says, my father and stepmother have had us all in family therapy the last 3 years. I turned 18 4 months ago and just graduated from high school. I told my father I would no longer be attending family therapy. He said I have to go. I asked if he was going to kick me out if I don't go, and he said no. So I said I don't have to then. He's mad, and my stepmother is furious. The reason I want to quit family therapy is that for the last 3 years, I've listened to the therapist tell me to compromise with someone that never compromises with me, to respect someone who never respects me, and that my feelings aren't valid, so I'm done. My stepmother says we've made so much progress, which is a lie. I missed our Monday afternoon session, as I said I would. My stepmother told me I wasn't welcome to eat dinner with them, and I said that was fine. At dinner time, my father came to my room and told me to come to dinner. I said I wouldn't because I wasn't welcome. He said I wouldn't be treated as an adult if I act like a child. Tuesday, my stepmother said I couldn't use my car that I pay the insurance on and gas for. I said fine. When she wanted me to pick up my siblings from school, I said I had no car. She insisted I do it, but I refused. She had to drive, which she hates doing. My dad says I'm being a jackass and throwing a temper tantrum over teen angst bullshit, and I disagree. They don't have to let me use the car, although I will stop making the insurance payment if I'm not allowed to use it. And they don't have to feed me, but I don't have to let them use food and cars to control my actions. He said this bullshit is why we need therapy, and that's dumb because we went for 3 years and here we are. The only thing I feel bad about is my siblings who don't understand why everyone is angry and thought I was mad at them because I wouldn't pick them up from school. My stepsister asked me just to come to therapy with them next month, and I hate telling her no, but I refused. Am I the asshole?
Wow. Okay. A lot going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I understand why they chose to quit therapy, to just not go to the family sessions. Yeah, when you turn 18, you have that choice. And also, I think in Kentucky, it's 16. There's a consent to treatment situation, right? Like you can opt in or out.
You have to consent in addition to your guardian.
To your guardian. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, in general, when you turn 18, you don't have to go because you're an adult. But yeah, I understand why they didn't want to go anymore. And also, like bravo for setting that boundary and keeping it up, because that's hard. That boundary of, well, I am 18, so I am going to make the decision to not go, and then parents come back with a, well, then we're not gonna, like, don't expect us to feed you or like have the car and all that stuff, and they're like, okay, cool, I will make it work for myself, but I'm still not going to therapy. Yeah, it sounds like the parents might be seeing progress from like their side of the family therapy, but not with the kiddos. That might be what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, their description of the therapy kind of sounded like the therapist told this poster and maybe their siblings, I don't know, to compromise and show respect to the adults, but wasn't asking the adults to do the same. And so, honestly, like, to have listened to that for 3 years and be able to see, like, no, that's inappropriate, and I'm going to set boundaries on my own, like, that's pretty big, because for 3 years, at least 3 adults have been telling you, show respect and compromise, but don't expect adults to do the same, and you have recognized, like, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fix it for myself and do what I need to do as an adult.
Yeah, that's pretty big. That's pretty big for someone to realize, especially at that age too, to like kind of realize that that's not working and that they need to set a boundary.
Yeah. And
to keep it up. That's really hard to do. So for any age, but especially for a teenager.
Yeah. I do wonder, you know, I would have liked some more information about what kinds of things they were talking about in therapy and why it felt like it was going that way.
Yeah.
Why the parents felt like there was progress and then the kid thought there was not progress. I wonder what the siblings thought about family therapy, because it sounds like they were going too. So I do wonder if there's maybe more information, or if this poster felt like they couldn't voice their opinions in the therapy sessions with the therapist to say, like, why are we expected to compromise but the parents aren't.
Yeah, they might have the poster might have just decided in therapy, like, well, I'm just not going to like speak up anymore because it's not working. And then when they turned 18, they were just like, okay, I'm leaving. Yeah, I'm done. So that might be the situation as well. But yeah, I definitely want more information on like what therapy looked like for their family. Like, what were they talking about and what were they working on?
Yeah, because there's different, especially when there's like kids involved. When it's not like all adults doing family therapy, it can go different ways. Some family therapy that I do is more like relationship building and communication and attachment stuff, and some of it is more like structural, like we need to reformat the rules and the discipline in our home so that it's more effective.
Yeah.
So I wonder what their goals were as a family.
Yeah.
But even if it's, because I understand the idea that like the parents in the home are the head of the house and they ultimately get the final say.
Sure.
But if the kids feel like there's no progress being made, how can the adults feel like there's progress being made?
Well, and that kind of makes me think that maybe the progress that the parents are seeing might be that they're just reaching goals that the parents want to reach, which could be something like getting emotional regulation under control for their kiddos. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting of like the parents are seeing progress. Maybe they're seeing progress and like the kids are just kind of like the younger kids are able to maybe like be a little better at that kind of stuff. And that might be the progress that they're talking about, not like the whole family system. That's what I was thinking too. Because sometimes people will come to family therapy, at least in my experience, they'll be like, oh, sure, we'll do a family therapy session. And they'll kind of focus in on like the one kid that's the problem, the problem kid or whatever, rather than like, no, I want like the entire family. We're all doing therapy together.
Yeah.
It's not just us talking about your kid while your kid sits there. Like,
Yeah.
we're all doing it together. So I wondered, like, what, just kind of what the structure of that looked like. If the parents were, like, involved in session, or were they not involved? Was it all focused on the kids? Was it focused on more of, like, their marriage? I don't know.
Yeah.
And the modality of therapy, too. Like, what was the therapist trained in, and what were they using in session, too? I'd be curious to know about that.
Yeah. Have you heard of the like dysfunctional family roles that they teach about for family therapy sometimes? Like the scapegoat and
Yes.
that kind of.
It was a long time ago when I took that class, but yes.
Yeah. So I just looked up the list of them.
Yeah.
So there's the first one is the golden child, the hero or the saint. So that's the one who gets special treatment and praise and is the one that all the other kids are compared to. Why can't you be more like your brother or whatever?
Yeah.
And then there's the scapegoat or the black sheep, and that's the one who's deemed the problem, and that's the one who's blamed for all of the home's problems. If that kid would just listen, then we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And then there's the parentified child, who can, I think, also sometimes be the golden child.
I could see that being a dual role.
Yeah. And then there's the mascot or the clown. It can be a parent or a child who uses humor and playfulness to diffuse tension. And they're not usually seen as a problem child because they're just trying to keep everybody calm.
Yeah, they're a people pleaser, using humor for people pleasing, essentially, is how that works.
Yeah. And then there's a lost child or the rebel. The lost child withdraws from family conflict or acts out to cope with the dysfunctional family dynamics. Then there's the peacemaker, which is different from the clown. They're the ones that are trying to like be the family therapist in the family.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's like a parent, or it could be a child who's noticing family conflict and being like, well, I can see both sides and let me show you how both sides are presenting. Or they're like the ones in the family where the parents are always fighting and they're like counseling both of their parents.
Yeah, that's another like dual role one, where that could be the parentification role and the what was this one called?
The peacemaker.
The peacemaker. Yeah, I could see that being a dual role as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting to see those roles come up when you work with families, to be like, so you're the target, you're the identified problem,
right? And
this person is kind of the peacemaker who just wants everything to be fine and maybe is more like a permissive parent or a different sibling that's trying to just keep everybody together.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a dad that's the clown or the mascot and like wants to just be like, whatever, just figure it out.
It's not a big deal. It's okay.
Yeah. But then there's also like, and I'm not sure like which role it would fall under, the parent who's more of the authoritarian or the authoritarian, who's just like, no, it needs to be this way and everybody just needs to conform to this.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know what role that would fill in here, but
yeah, interesting. So what do you think the poster's role would be? It's kind of, I don't know. I feel like I need more information about what therapy looked like.
Yeah, I think I need more information. I think there probably were treated like the scapegoat.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, of the scapegoat, black sheep potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also we're only getting one person's view of how the therapy went. If the parents think that it was effective, I would have liked to hear like, why do they think it was effective?
Right.
What kinds of things did they see change that the kids didn't see change, or that at least one kid didn't see change?
Yeah, I just really want to know what the like goals were going into family therapy. What was everyone's goals? Because I'm sure everyone had, I'm sure they all had a couple of the same or similar things, but I'm sure each family member has like a different idea of what they want to get out of family therapy.
Yeah.
And that could be why the parents saw progress and then the original poster didn't see any progress.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Interesting. But like we said before in other episodes, like, you're allowed to quit if you don't feel like it's working.
If therapy's not working for you, talk to your therapist, let them know. And then if it's still not working, you can quit and find a new therapist.
Yeah. But in this case, it sounds like the family needed those boundaries.
Yeah, that's what, like, that post was a year ago. I'm kind of curious, like, what the update would look like.
Yeah.
Like, what has happened since then? And, like, with setting that hard boundary, were they able to maintain it? Did anything change after setting that hard I keep saying hard boundary. It's just a boundary. Like, whatever. It's a line. It doesn't have to be hard. But they just stuck with it really well. So I think that's why I keep saying hard boundary.
Oh, look, they put a comment in here. Ooh. Hold on. This person said they wanted more information. Why is the family in therapy? What are they asking you to compromise on?
Yeah.
And they responded, we're in therapy to make us a stronger family unit. That's not a goal.
No. That is a big idea that you could have goals that help that.
Right. But everybody in the family could have a different opinion of what a stronger family unit is. It's not measurable. How are you going to know when that is achieved?
Right.
That's not a goal. Anyway, this translates to accepting everything my stepmother says and does and never raising an objection. Anything I do, my job, my hobbies, my relationship is subject to her approval. Her actions are beyond reproach. And then they asked another question about, like, why is my car in quotation marks?
Mm-hmm.
And they said it's my car because it was a 16th birthday present to me, but it doesn't legally belong to me. So it stops being mine at their convenience.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I mean, I kind of liked their boundary of being like, okay, well, if you're not going to allow me to use the car, I'm not going to pay for the insurance on it.
Yeah, that's interesting too. Yeah. I think that's fair, right? Like, they're not going to let them use the car because it's not technically legally belongs to them, so then they're not going to pay the insurance, because why would they pay insurance for a vehicle they're not allowed to drive?
Exactly.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. This person said, you feel like therapy is not working, and it sounds like you're right because nobody is listening to or respecting you.
Yeah.
Therapy is not for everyone. It can't save everyone. Your stepmom tells you can't use the car, then tells you to pick up the kids. She can't have it both ways. You either can or can't use the car. You were told not to come to dinner, and then dad says come to dinner. You can't have parents telling you two different things. That's a huge problem right there. They both need to agree on things, and maybe that's what the issue at home is, and they can't parent together. This other person said they're a therapist. Like the person commenting is a therapist.
Yeah.
Your experience of therapy sounds awful and not what good therapy actually is. Your therapist chose to join in gaslighting you alongside your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they have a professional backing them, your parents are more empowered to dismiss your very valid experience. It's okay to be done with family therapy, but I would encourage you to find a therapist of your own to help you navigate what is likely to be a rough transition to adulthood. And maybe they do, but they sound like they're pretty on top of things.
Yeah, they sound very self-aware already and in tune with everything already.
Yeah.
Which is impressive for an 18-year-old.
Yeah, an 18-year-old, but just setting boundaries is hard.
For anyone.
Setting boundaries with adults and adults that you live with is really hard.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that they're already successfully setting boundaries,
that's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah. And a healthy boundary too. Like, it's I don't know if reasonable is the right word, but like, it's a healthy boundary. It makes sense. It kind of goes along with like how the parents are already treating them. So they're like, if you're gonna treat me like an adult, then I'm also gonna treat myself like an adult that lives here.
Yeah. Separate note. I don't think it was the was it the therapist? Yeah. This therapist used the word gaslighting.
Yeah.
I don't like to use that word if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
Unless it's like very obviously truly gaslighting, I don't like to use that word, or narcissist, because I feel like they're clinical words that are now just being thrown around.
Yeah. That's something that I like. Pop psychology, like trending stuff that I see on TikTok and Instagram, stuff will pop up, and it's just like boundaries too.
Yeah.
People will be like, oh, I'm setting a boundary and this is what it is. And then, but it's not a boundary what they're doing. It's sometimes an ultimatum, which is not healthy.
Yeah. I mean, boundaries can sound like ultimatums sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But like, do you have an example of like a boundary that's not a boundary?
Kind of like, I don't agree with this person on this thing that's doesn't really matter in the scheme of things. It kind of like, it's with teenagers that I hear it sometimes where they're like, so and so doesn't like that I do this, therefore I'm not going to talk to them anymore.
Okay.
Kind of a boundary.
Okay.
Which
that kind of sounds like their friend tried to set a boundary, and instead of respecting their boundary, they were like, well, you're a terrible person, so I'm just going to cut you off.
Yeah. It's almost like that kind of like cancel culture-y kind of thing.
Honestly, yes. Okay, so that's why I feel like throwing around the words boundaries, narcissist, gaslighting without knowing what they mean leads to things like just cutting people off without conflict resolution.
Yes.
That's a word I don't ever hear, is communication and conflict resolution. So, yeah, I feel like people are giving up on trying to work with their relationships with friends, families, partners, whatever, because they just go straight to the extreme.
Right.
When that's not what it is. It's just like, we don't learn how to talk to people.
Yeah.
I didn't learn how to like effectively have an argument with somebody until I was in my 20s.
Same, yeah.
So
I still have trouble
with
it.
With a book. Like,
right,
we had like lessons on it. Like, we practiced with like scripts and stuff. Like, it was therapy.
Yeah.
So we don't learn like effective conflict resolution, and then we go online and we hear, well, gaslighting is anytime somebody says something you don't want to hear, and a boundary is cutting somebody off if they do one thing you don't like, and a narcissist is somebody who does one selfish thing when everybody is selfish.
Yes.
And selfishness can be healthy at times. So like, yeah, that's not how healthy relationships are formed. Right.
And yeah, just that idea of this person does this thing I don't like, or does this thing that I see as negative, and I'm like, peace out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk to them anymore or whatever. Yeah, that's going to be real lonely if you keep doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to find anyone who fits every single little thing that you agree with or that you like. That's not going to happen. So,
yeah. But then in addition to that, then if somebody is truly being gaslit, like in an abusive way, I have pointed out to people before, like, that's gaslighting. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And people have been like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, because you just hear that word all the time and you think it's just like when somebody's rude to you.
Right.
And that's not what it, like, gaslighting is abuse.
Yeah.
So if somebody's actually being gaslit by somebody who's abusive, they don't often know that people don't always know that they're being abused anyway, because people are really good at being abusive sometimes.
Yeah, some people are sneaky about it. Yep.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I feel like it's a much bigger word than people think it is.
Right.
And it should be taken more seriously. And sometimes what people think is gaslighting is really just somebody trying to disagree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all that pop psychology stuff can be really, really aggravating as a therapist to see that stuff like pop up. And like seeing it pop up with people that I know too, like friends, like throwing those words around, and I'm just like technically I'm not at work, but I gotta say something.
Well, and I don't want to invalidate anyone. Like if I don't know the people that they know, so if they're saying like, oh, my mom's a narcissist, like I'm not gonna say no, she's not.
Of course,
because I don't know her, but like
give me
general,
examples.
You hear that word a lot for just people who are selfish. And yeah, some people are selfish and they're not good at being in relationships with other people and compromising, but they might not be a narcissist. Like a narcissist is like a big thing.
Yeah,
like,
that is in the DSM.
Yeah, there's a diagnosis.
There's a lot of like it's like a checklist of does this happen, and it has to happen in this frequency and time frame and timeline of their life, and it's a really big deal to be diagnosed, and a very, very, very small percentage of the population is diagnosed with narcissism.
Right. And then I'm getting to the point where, like, because I work with kids, I'm getting to the point where parents are coming to me and they're concerned, like, is my child a narcissist? Which, first of all, no.
Your child is 4 years old. They're in their ego phase.
You can't be a narcissist. You can't be diagnosed with a personality disorder until you're an adult.
Until you have a full personality.
Right. But because people don't know what narcissist means, and they think it's like not having empathy and like being selfish and not compromising, then they get freaked out because, oh my God, what if my child turns out to be like a serial killer or something? It's like, well, probably not.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's good that you're looking out and that you want your kid to be a contributing member of society and get better, and thank you for bringing them to therapy. Yeah. They're not a narcissist.
Right. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, whenever I have a client who brings up a diagnosis, either it's usually when there's something like, I think I have bipolar or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say no, you don't, but we're going to look at the DSM, the diagnosis criteria, and we're going to talk about it. Yeah, because people just throw around narcissism, bipolar. I hear that a lot thrown around in therapy and like out in the world too, and that bothers me so much.
Yeah, bipolar is not you're happy 1 second and sad the next second. That's not what it is. It's not like that at all. And yeah, it's OCD. No.
Yeah,
you don't have OCD.
That gets thrown around a lot too.
People with OCD are suffering.
Yeah. They know they have OCD too. Yeah. Like, it's very clear what's happening.
It is affecting everything in their life.
It's very clear, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I appreciate that mental health is such a common topic of discussion now, because I think it's important, and I think people should take their mental health as seriously as they take their physical health. However, just as you shouldn't go on WebMD and convince yourself you have cancer, you should not go on TikTok and convince yourself that you are bipolar or that your mother is a narcissist.
Right. And just, when you're on social media, on TikTok, wherever you are looking at stuff, like, just take it with a grain of salt. Make sure if they're saying something that speaks to you, check out their profile and see, like, who they are. Do they... If they're talking about bipolar and you're like, oh, I relate to this, are they themselves diagnosed with bipolar? Are they a therapist? Like, who the heck are they?
Yeah.
Like, just don't take everything you see on social media as fact.
Exactly. You can also take what you hear on social media and bring it to somebody who might know more, or like talk about it with your friends. They might have some experience and know whether or not that's accurate or not. I think it's really easy to want a label or a reason as to, like, okay, well, this person's like this because of this, and like that makes things simpler for us to digest, but it's not. Life isn't black and white.
Right. Yeah, that like need or desire that people have to like put a label to stuff sometimes can really get you in a pickle. Like, you can get diagnosed incorrectly, and that could be absolutely horrible
gosh,
for your mental and
yes.
physical health if you get diagnosed incorrectly because of whatever reason. But
Right. And
if
then
you're
if
not
you're
careful and you're, I don't know, like you relate to the stuff that you're seeing about bipolar or whatever, and then you go in somewhere and are like, I think I'm bipolar, and then they might go ahead and just say that you're bipolar and then go ahead and treat you the way they would someone who is bipolar. And if you're not, and they didn't go do the correct diagnosing process, that could get really messed up. That could really mess you up. You could end up with something else. Some other mental illness could manifest after that.
Right. Or you could be taking medication that's not good for you and it's not doing anything for you.
Right.
Ugh. Yeah.
Be careful.
Well, and then like trying to diagnose your children, like you're putting a label on them that they could potentially carry with them for their entire life. And you're giving that information to their teachers, and now their teachers are labeling them and treating them as if they have that thing. And as they grow up, they're like, well, I struggle with this because I have this. But nobody professional ever told them that they had that.
Right.
And just because you have it doesn't mean you can't function.
Right.
So give them, like, a diagnosis is just a starting point. Then you have to work with it so that you can function. Ugh.
Yeah. Diagnosis is such a tricky thing, too, because, like, on one hand, you could get diagnosed incorrectly, or you could go through, like, life with a label that just is not representative of who you are because of that. Or you could go your whole life without a diagnosis, and people just say, oh, that's just who you are. But in reality, you do have bipolar or something going on, but you went your whole life thinking there was just something wrong with you the whole time.
Right.
And so you don't get help. So it's just very tricky. But yeah, like if you think you might be potentially, you could be diagnosed with something mental illness wise, seek out a professional who knows, like, does the evaluations and can tell you definitively one way or another if you are or not, or if you need further testing for something else maybe, or screening. So yeah, it's so tricky.
Yeah. And I was looking for books yesterday, for like co-parenting books to help some clients with like high conflict divorces and co-parenting. And there were so many books that were titled Co-Parenting with a Narcissist. I'm not going to hand a parent a book that says your ex is a narcissist.
Right. No.
I'm not going to put that idea, even if it was an idea that they maybe already, I'm not going to confirm that idea, and I'm not going to put it in their head like, well, they're a narcissist, so they're going to do all these things. I don't know that.
Well, and yeah, that's just, that's a scary sounding book to me.
Yeah.
Like if someone handed that to me, it's like, am I the narcissist? Or like, what's happening? What is, like, that's really intense.
Yeah.
I just wanted help.
Right. And I don't understand, like, a book? Like, I could see like a clickbait article being like, in order to read this, I'm going to use the word narcissist. But like, a book?
Yeah,
written
like
by professionals?
I was gonna say, like, who wrote that book? Like, who was?
I don't
like,
even
I'm
know.
gonna
I
write
didn't
a
even
book.
look into it because I was like, I'm not even gonna entertain a book that has the word narcissist in the title.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I think the only time I would read something about that would be like a study, maybe.
Right.
That kind of a thing.
Yeah, a study where like I know for sure that the people who were in the study were diagnosed narcissists.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go by some like a book of like anecdotes of working with people. Yeah, no thank you.
Right.
That's icky.
Yeah. So if anybody has any recommendations for books about co-parenting, I'm still looking.
High conflict co-parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same. I would like some of those books too.
I do have one that I really like. It's called Mom's House, Dad's House. And they have an adult version and a kid's version.
Nice.
And so
I love that.
I recommend that to every divorced couple that I see. I'm like, just read through it. It's got information about co-parenting if you get along and co-parenting if you don't get along.
Nice.
And like different ways that you can set things up and making sure that your kid is still in the forefront of your mind, because it's so easy to forget like how your personal things affect your kid differently than they affect you.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I love that there's a kid's book with it too,
Yeah, the
so
kids'
that
book
like
is
the whole
awesome
family's
'cause
involved.
it goes into like what to do if your parents are treating you like the messenger, and like what's okay and what's not okay, and how to transition between homes, and
That is really
being
cool.
open communication with everybody, and what's a step parent and
Right,
things like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it's awesome.
That's cool.
I love that book. That'll be my recommendation for the end. Okay. So the other post that I found is another Reddit post,
Of course.
but it's from r/mental health, and I thought it was interesting. It's was just a question that somebody asked. They were wanting to put a care package together for their friend that lives in a different state and has depression and is just going through a really tough depression season, and they wanted some advice on practical, fun, uncommon things that they could put in a depression care package. And I thought that was a cute idea.
That is a really cute idea.
Yeah. What would you put in a depression care package for a friend?
Like hot beverages. Stuff to make hot beverages. So I'm drinking tea right now. But that's something that is very comforting. It's very low key. It's not hard to make tea or hot chocolate. You microwave your water or whatever. You heat up your kettle. You put it in there, mix it up, you drink it. And that kind of warmth and comfort can really help a lot of people who are depressed. Just finding comfort in something like that. And it's easy. Like little, like puzzle type things, little like puzzle books, crosswords, something to kind of like get your mind just a little bit get out of your head just a little bit and focused on something like that. That can be really helpful too. Postcards are always nice, like pictures of people. Yeah, just kind of thinking of stuff that's not going to require like a lot of steps or like a lot of outside effort, because I know a lot of people that are suffering with depression, like it's hard to be motivated to do things, and that's kind of like the cycle of depression. So having something that's just like a couple of steps or just like a little bit of effort can sometimes be enough to just start the motivation to do other things.
Yeah.
Right. So I think something like that would be good to think about too. Like
Yeah.
just that kind of like low effort, but enough to get out of your head a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of putting a warm beverage in there if it's not gonna cost too much to ship, like anything like weighted, like a weighted blanket or a weighted stuffed animal. I love those.
I love those too.
Or I mean, you could just order one and ship it to their house.
Instead of in the care package.
Instead of in the care package.
To them.
Yeah, especially if they're like, this is an adult, so they're gonna want a heavy blanket. And I like the idea of like just little things that they can do just like in bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I almost like I would put like a little handwritten letter about all the things I love about them, and maybe like a list of maybe like a link to like a YouTube playlist of funny videos that I put together.
Love that. Yeah.
And then maybe like I would try to find, it's not really for a care package, but if it's a long distance friend, I would want to find like a game that we could play together, like an app. Like people used to play like that Scrabble together, or I don't know what people play now.
I think there's like a Monopoly app now that you can play with people.
Yeah, just something like or like even like the iPhone games, like you can like play games between Messenger, like just like starting something like that, just to like keep in contact, but like low stakes, like you're not trying to push them to get outside or whatever.
Right.
You're just like, I'm here.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Yeah, so some things that other people suggested on here: fidget toys, bath stuff.
Ooh, yeah, like a stuff for like a hot bath, bubble bath. That would be really good too.
Yeah, those are always nice. Sometimes they feel like too much effort.
Yeah, like a shower can be really, really hard. A bath is a little easier.
Sometimes, but even like putting the stuff in the bath can sometimes be like a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Like a bath bomb is nice and easy because you just open it and dunk it in.
Yeah,
that would be something simple.
Or like the shower steamer things.
Yeah, those are nice too.
Yeah, this person said like having something to make hygiene seem exciting. So maybe like a face mask or like a hair mask that they can do in the shower.
Yeah.
This person said if your friend is this kind of friend, they make bath bombs that are toasters that are like shaped like toasters.
If you have that morbid sense of humor, dark sense of humor,
if
like we do.
If your friend is not actively suicidal.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's kind of hilarious, though. That's funny.
This person said hygiene products that are minimal effort, like body wipes.
Or like dry shampoo.
Yeah, dry shampoo.
That'd be good, too. Those little, like, acne little sticker dudes. Those can be really helpful, like, if you're having a hard time with
and they
washing
make
your
fun
face.
ones.
I know, they make,
stars.
Like, they have little stars and little, like, I saw someone with, it might have just been a sticker, actually, but it was a little rainbow that they had on a patch.
Yeah, stuffed animals. Little squishmallow.
Yeah.
Gift cards for online shopping. Maybe. I mean, unless they're like, I mean, I don't know how well you know your friend, but compulsive shopping can be a problem when you're depressed.
Yeah.
So if you feel like they're gonna just use your gift card and then stop.
If they have the, what's it called? The boundary with themselves.
Yeah. But they did say maybe a gift card to like DoorDash, and that would be helpful.
Oh, that would be
get
really
like an
helpful.
actual meal.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. That low effort, but still taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
That's kind of the theme for this care package idea, I think.
Yeah. Oh, this person's cute. This person said, think about the 5 senses. So touch, fidget toys, blankets, stuffed animals.
Oh, yeah.
Taste, snacks, candy, gift cards for food delivery, smell, essential oils, scented candles, scented lotion, sight, photographs, artwork, a nice note, and then hearing, maybe a white noise machine or a recording of you saying something nice.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, that was cute.
I like that idea. Hitting all the different senses. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this person said, like, anything that might be helpful. So, like, if they have a pet, like, some pet food, so they don't have to go to the store and get pet food. And so, because it's a long-distance friend, so it's not like you can, like, pop over and help them clean or make sure they open their windows or something. But something that they might not want to go to the store and get, but they probably need. Yeah, so I thought this was a cute... I mean, I think it was nice that they asked for, like, unconventional ideas, and then some people had some good ideas. I like the idea of looking for 5 senses. This person said hot chocolate or tea. I like the idea of a gift card for DoorDash, because DoorDash is expensive, but...
Yeah. But that could be really helpful for someone who's struggling with the day-to-day with their depression.
Yeah. That's what I got today.
Cool.
Do you have anything?
I have one that could potentially be like a pretty simple discussion, I think.
Okay, yeah.
So this is another Reddit post. It's in the parenting thread. How do you decide responsibility with chores while letting kids be kids? I can't see very well, y'all. I need reading glasses, I think. Okay. I grew up as an only child with a stay-at-home mom. My only job was to excel at school and my extracurriculars, while sometimes I would help her with full house cleaning and putting my laundry away, but she would basically do everything else for me and my father. I don't necessarily agree with this approach. While it was very generous of her, I think I would have better time management skills now, 30 female with a toddler, if I had more chores to do instead of just my schoolwork and sports. I get that. On the other hand, I don't think it's fair to, for example, make an older kid babysit a younger sibling all the time, because that's more of a parenting role. It makes sense to me that at this point, everyone in the household should care for the house and have regular chores to do, and learn how to have pride for caring for the house that they live in addition to learning those necessary life skills. So how do you decide what level of responsibility and chores to give to your kids on a regular basis?
Good question.
Yeah.
My instinct is to decide what's appropriate for children to do. So, like, just like they said, like, caring for children is not their job.
Right.
They can help, like, grab diapers if they need to, or, you know, if they need to help lift a kid off the step stool or something. I don't know, something small. But yeah, but I also agree with them when they said caring for the house that you live in is good. Everybody should contribute to the house that they live in.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I think as they get older, learning more things that they're gonna need to know. So maybe a 6-year-old's not doing laundry, but a 15-year-old's doing their laundry. And then I think just like dividing it up so that everybody's kind of doing their own share is good, because I think it's also a good skill to learn how to manage taking care of what you need to take care of and also doing what you want to do.
Right. Yeah.
I know there are like a lot of cool apps now where you can like list people's chores and assign tasks to people and then check them off when they're done. I know there are ones that are like even like link your kids' allowance to their chores like in the app, so like you can like see how much money you're earning when you do your chores.
Right. Yeah.
If you want to do it that way. But yeah, I think just looking at what your kid's capable of doing and letting them do it kind of in their own time, like maybe giving them like once a week you need to do your laundry, but you get to decide when it's done.
Yeah, I think that's a fair like parameter for something like laundry.
Yeah.
Like you need to do it at least once a week, or you need to do it once a week, but I'll let you decide when and how that looks for you.
Right.
I like that a lot. Because I was thinking with this post too, like for people who are neurodivergent, it can be really hard to get chores done already. And then having someone kind of over your shoulder on top of you, like do this, do that, can make it really hard to just be motivated and get it done. But I like that of here are the chores we expect you to get done in a week, in every week, like, but do it however works best for you. I think that would work really well for that kind of thing.
Yeah. And some kids, I mean, and this is where like I love family meetings. Those kinds of things are helpful. Some kids do need more of a push and a verbal reminder,
right,
or a visual reminder or something. And some kids are like, no, I'll get it done. I'm gonna prioritize my friends, but it'll get done.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think, you know, every kid's different, every family's different, every home's needs are different, but I think it's possible to give your kid autonomy and high expectations at the same time.
Yeah. The thing, what I was kind of thinking of was just involving your kids as early on as appropriate to the regular house chores, and just letting them have, like you said, just doing a little bit. So I was thinking, like, if you, like in the kitchen, cooking in the kitchen, they have those like step stools for toddlers or whatever, where they can be up at counter level. You could have your toddler involved in helping you cook in a little bit of a way, or just like helping with a little bit of stuff at the counter. They make like, they're really cool. They make these like knife sets for toddlers that are not metal, they're plastic, so they can't cut themselves or anything, but they can use it to chop like things of like little pads of butter. They can use it to chop up like an apple or whatever for their snack time. So that could be a way that you're early on teaching some of those life skills to a toddler is just by keeping them involved in those life skills when they pop up.
Yeah. And toddlers like to help.
Oh yeah, they want to be all up in your business and they want to know what's going on. So just getting them involved in that would be really great. And kids learn the best when they do the stuff, right? When they either through playing it out, like through pretend play, or when they actually get to do stuff. That's how they learn how to do things. So having them involved in a chore, even if it's just a little bit of just cutting their apple for snack time, is, I think, huge in getting them involved in chores. And then it just makes it normal too, of like, oh, you're hungry, get your own snack.
Yeah.
You want this for dinner, but I cooked something else, you can cook that for yourself, kind of a thing when they're a teenager.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes too people forget about those like stages of development theories, and just like keeping in mind like some kids just aren't developmentally ready to keep their room clean by themselves.
Yes. Or like,
because that's a big chore.
Yeah. Or like even just the idea of telling your kids, go clean your room. They don't know what that means.
They're going to shove their toys under the bed.
Yeah. Everything's shoved in the closet.
Yeah.
You need to teach them like where things go and do it step by step. So you need to tell them, okay, put all the toys in the toy box.
And you do it with them too.
Right. Yes.
Like if you do it with them and you show them this is where your toys go, or if they're like having trouble with remembering where stuff goes, then you're just like, oh, let me show you. Like kids are going to learn through you showing them, modeling, and they're going to learn from doing it themselves. That's the fastest way you're going to teach them those kinds of life skills and chores and things like that.
Yeah. And one thing that I feel like, especially with some older kids, is frustrating for me to hear sometimes is parents who just like expect their kids to be on top of the chores all the time. And it's like, okay, maybe it's just because I'm ADHD and like need to figure out my own stuff.
Right.
But like I am never on top of my chores.
No, same.
So I don't know how I would expect a child to just like always want to do the dishes.
Right.
I hate doing the dishes.
No.
They have to be done. But if I'm a kid, they don't have to be done.
Right. Yeah.
So I am always like surprised when parents are just like, I don't understand. They just need to do it. They're not gonna.
No.
When you're a kid, you're about pleasure first. And it's unrealistic to just expect your kid to want to do their chores or to get their chores or their homework done first before they go off and do something that they want to do.
Right.
And they're gonna have days where they just don't want to do it. And I think it's hard too to remember that like middle school and high school was a blip for you, but it's happening right now for them, and it is a much bigger percentage of their life so far than it is for you, who has lived many more years after that.
Right.
So if they have a bad day at school, it might feel like it's a really, really bad day, even though to you it's like, okay, you had a fight with your friend, like you'll make up tomorrow. So it's okay to sometimes like stand at the sink with them and talk to them while you do their dishes, or help them do the dishes, or clean their room with them, or say, watch your show first and then do your homework.
Right.
Like routines are important, but they're also still human beings who have different capacities for things on different days. Yeah.
And I think just it's just really hard to tell anyone at any age, go clean your room. That can be a really overwhelming task, and often is for people. And so just being, instead of saying, hey, go clean your room, saying, hey, how about we go pick some stuff up in your room real quick, maybe before we watch this show together. Or like, hey, while I'm cooking dinner, do you mind just loading the dishwasher from yesterday, or unloading the dishwasher from yesterday? Like just making it more of like a cooperative request.
Yes. Or voicing it in a way that's like you trust that they're planning to do it and you're just questioning like how's that going. So like, hey, what's your plan for your homework today? When were you planning on getting that done? Like, I'm going in with the assumption that you are planning to do it. I notice you haven't done it yet.
Right.
Just want to check in.
Right.
What's the plan? And then if they don't have a plan, you can say, okay, you want some help with that?
Yeah, because if you were just like, hey, do your homework, or you need to get your homework done, you gotta get your homework done before dinner, they know that already. They don't need you to tell them that. And that can kind of be a weird thing where, not weird, but your kiddo's gonna feel disrespected a little bit too, because they feel like they are capable of doing that on their own. They don't need to be reminded. But every now and then you want to give them like a little bit of a reminder, but you don't need to phrase. Well, it feels like it's all about the phrasing, especially with middle school and high schoolers. Like, the way you say it can really change their attitude towards doing whatever it is. And it's typically, if you make it like a request where it's like related to something that's already going on, or like you said, where I know you're going to get your homework done, but like, what was your plan for when you're going to start? Like, I just want to know when you were planning on that. And that kind of is just a lot less pressure than get it done before dinner.
Right. And again, like, you don't know exactly what's going on in your kid's head at that moment. And so if you give demands and expect them to be done right that second, you're going to be disappointed. And then you're going to be arguing with your kid.
Right. Yeah, and you can always like check in with your kid a little bit before you say something too, like, because you weren't at school with them, you don't know what's going on in their entire school day, and often if you ask, they're going to be like, I don't know, or I'm tired, don't want to talk about it, basically. But you can check in and be like, hey, on a scale of like 1 to 5, how do you feel about helping me with something right now? And then your kid can check in with you and be like, I can help you for a little bit, or it might be like it depends on what it is kind of a situation. But yeah, like checking in real quick before you make a request can really help too and that gives your kid a little bit more autonomy, which the more autonomy and choice you can give to a preteen and teenager, the more respect they're going to have in general for the whole family system and how everything works.
Yeah. But I like what that poster said too about letting kids be kids. Like, you want them to be in extracurricular activities and have fun with their friends and stuff. I don't know that it's fair I think it's fair to give them responsibility and prepare them for living independently.
Right.
But they don't have to do that right now all the time. Yeah. And so I don't know if it's maybe like a jealousy thing of like, I'm not a kid anymore and these things have to get done, and so I'm the one that has to do them. Right. But like, can we let the kids sometimes be kids and like not have to do everything all the time? Yeah. Because that's gonna be the rest of their life after they move out. Right. Where there's things that have to be done and they're the only ones that are around to do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I think like with younger kids, something you could do is like, oh, we're going to like cut up vegetables for dinner or whatever, and then if your kid decides like they get halfway through and they're like, okay, I'm done, I want to go play now, you let them go play. It's not the end of the world if they don't finish chopping up that one pepper. Yeah. Like letting them kind of opt in and opt out of doing those chores when they're little. Yeah. Will help make it easier for them to be motivated to do those things when they get older. Because then they know that it's not like, I have to do this thing. This is kind of a thing that needs to be done, and I'm okay with doing this thing. That can be a really big change in motivation.
I agree. Yeah. Parenting's hard.
Yeah, man.
It's hard to find that balance for sure. But you can do it.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Should we move to our recommendation corner?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is a psychologist. His Instagram is therapy with Dr. Josh. And he's based in California, but his social media is very colorful and cute.
Oh, wow.
But he talks about, like, he has a post here about narcissistic traits, identifying them correctly and what is and isn't. So he's very good about taking pop psychology stuff and breaking it down and kind of debunking it a little bit, or what he mostly does is kind of like, here are the facts. This is what's going on. And he has a lot of really good information across all kinds of different things, but a lot of stuff centered on like anxiety, a lot of things relating to like diagnosing like what that process looks like for people, compassion fatigue, or some things that he talks about. But yeah, it's a very pretty social media page, very colorful, and a lot of really good information. And then I think sometimes he collaborates with other therapists and mental health people on Instagram as well, and so they'll do stuff together. But yeah, if you have an Instagram account, it's very informative and also cute.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation for this week.
What's the handle again?
Therapy with Dr. Josh, Dr. Doctor.
Okay, cool. All right. My recommendation is what I mentioned earlier. It's 2 books, Mom's House, Dad's House by Dr. Isolina Ricci. There's a adult version and a kids version. And the adult version, it says the map to a decent divorce and 2 happy homes, helping children of divorce with age-specific advice, negotiating parental agreements and custody arrangements, breaking away from negative intimacy with a difficult ex-husband or ex-wife, sidestepping destructive myths about divorce, and handling long-distance parenting and parenting alone. And then the kids version says you'll learn how to deal with parents living apart, schedules, and dueling house rules, settle comfortably in one home or 2, stay out of the middle when parents fight, manage stress, guilt, change, fear, and other feelings, stay connected with parents, relatives, and friends, and generally feel better about divorce. So I think it's got some really good advice in there. It's good for parents who are in high conflict divorces, but also in amicable divorces. And it just kind of keeps you focused on making homes for your child and not getting caught up in the big feelings that you're having about the end of your relationship.
Yeah.
Because that's hard to remember sometimes.
Yeah.
So
cool. Yeah, I think I might get that.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the end of our 3rd episode. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, share. Do you have a suggestion for a comment that people can leave today to engage?
I'm trying to think of a silly one. Let's do, would you rather be a mermaid or a vampire during an apocalypse? If you had to be one of those 2 things, would you rather be a mermaid or a vampire?
Okay.
These are the kind of silly things that I ask people in sessions sometimes. So
sure.
It's just interesting.
Okay.
Responses.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comment that.
And
I'm
your
interested.
reason.
Yeah. Tell us why.
Yeah.
And come back for the next one.
We'll see ya.
Bye.